Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm your host, Alex, and I should stop slapping my microphone with my wedding ring. And this is Mike, one of the developers on Speedify, and we are here to answer your questions. So if you haven't liked, give us a follow, smash, like, whatever. So that you know when we're going live. So the way it works is if you guys have questions about Speedify, post them in the comments. We're also thinking a lot about AI these days. So to whatever extent you guys don't have questions about Speedify, I'm thinking about stuff like DeepSeek. Have you guys been using DeepSeek AI? We posted a video about between two palms on Speedify on YouTube about DeepSeek AI and its load balancing. Some interesting stuff when they first announced it. Now it's days ago, so it may even feel out of date, right?
Yeah, it is. What came out today? You know?
Yeah. So, it's exciting times, like the Chinese curse or whatever. So let's talk Speedify news for a minute, though, before we loop back to that. There is an all new Speedify app for the Mac. Mike, you want to talk about this? It's been your life for the last month or so.
Absolutely. So as everybody knows that we have the Speedify in the Mac App Store, but we just released a brand new one that's available on our website. And the key changes here, we kind of deprecated the old one in exchange for a new modern, security-driven, Apple-focused way. And this one is a system extension. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the system extension. It uses the same APIs as the App Store version. It's notarized by Apple. It uses hardened runtime, and it's still sandboxed. So you'll notice system extensions run as root, but with these other gatekeepers in place, it's still sandboxed to just do what Speedify does, which is to bond your connections and keep your internet safe. So it's a fantastic, amazing new release, and what comes with that is the CLI. So now
the command line interface.
So now you could just use your terminal. You could program some scripts and have Speedify just do stuff automatically without needing the user interface at all. It's just a fantastic way.
Yeah. So a lot of times on these calls, people ask like, "How do I bypass things?" And we're like, "Well, if you're on Windows, you can use the CLI. Now on Mac, if you get it from our website, you can do all that stuff that we're like, oh, on Windows or Linux. It all works on the Mac now. You've got the whole command line interface. You can connect, disconnect, bypasses, block certain IP addresses, all that stuff. How many Wi-Fi connect at Speedify? How many Wi-Fi connect at Speedify? So, Speedify can use as many Wi-Fis as you can get your computer to connect to. Most phones, most laptops have one Wi-Fi, so you can connect to one Wi-Fi network. Not so exciting. But like on Windows or Linux, you can get more Wi-Fi cards, USB ones, plug them in, and each one gives you another network you can connect to. There's another cool thing. It's called pair and share. Here, why don't I screen share here? Why don't I show you the actual Speedify we're using right here for this call? This live stream. So this is Speedify running on this Mac. And right now there's Ethernet plugged into our cable modem. There's Wi-Fi. It's the internet service provider, Speedify. That's because it's a MIRI router. So it has its Ethernet plugged into the same Comcast cable modem. Boring. But it also has two SIM cards in it. So if the Comcast stops working, it will stay online, switching us to cellular. Then cellular, I've got this guy plugged in. So all very exciting. Then there's pair and share. Hey, look, it's my cell phone. It's everybody else. There we go. And so here we go. iPhone cellular on AT&T. So this is another device. This is a cell phone running Speedify that's on the same Wi-Fi. Over the Wi-Fi, it's sharing its cellular. So this computer can, on the Wi-Fi, go use yet another internet connection. So that single Wi-Fi connection has now actually become 2 connections. So super cool. And Ryan says, but you can't add extra Wi-Fi in a Mac, right? Correct. There is, not only do Macs only come with 1 or 0 Wi-Fis, there is no way to add another. Apple does not make Wi-Fi cards, and they've given absolutely no way to write drivers for the Mac. Their documentation is this great circle about, if you want to write, the native driver stuff says, oh, you can't use this. Go use the new API, and the new API says you can't use this for Wi-Fi, and it's a loop. There is no way out. There are no Wi-Fi cards you can buy for a Mac that work. For some reason, when I bring this up, often people show up denying it, saying I'm lying. There are plenty of Wi-Fi cards, and I ask for links to one, and nobody ever replies with one because they don't exist.
Yeah.
It is tragic. I wish it wasn't true. All right. Can a computer share a connection to a cell phone? With parent share? Actually, right now the computers are not sharing connections to the cell phones. We can change that at some point, partly to avoid being confusing. Yeah. On parent share, why not allow to change priority?
Well, kind of do.
I mean, we let you change between secondary and backup, right? And if you really want a primary, change your primaries to secondary. Maybe someday we'll change that. Just feel like too many people backed themselves into bad configurations, right? The parent share is neat, right? It really does work. It can be a lifesaver. You reach across the Wi-Fi, grab an extra 10 megabits off something and save your live stream. But there is extra overhead, right? It's got extra hops. It has to go over the Wi-Fi to get to your cell phone. And if everybody's doing that at the same time, you can end up using up all your Wi-Fi, getting to cellular. Like you actually, there are funny scenarios where someone has really fast 5G cellular and ends out slowing things down. So there's a reason for some limits on it, and we'll be relaxing some of them. I think as we're getting smarter, I think we're working out what we can do, right? Detect when we're making a problem and back off. So then you can go ahead and say, use it as much as you want, and we can use it till we start making a problem and back off. Yeah. What I was thinking, a computer could plug into an Ethernet connection and share it on the Wi-Fi as a cell phone. Yeah, it's I get it. It's feasible. And I mean, other than the computer can be the hotspot, right? I mean, obviously sort of trivially, but I think you mean with pair and share. You can use something like Connectify Hotspot and make a Windows computer, make a hotspot that shares its Ethernet. Macs have that built-in internet sharing. I mean, Windows has a built-in internet sharing. It just doesn't work.
Go figure.
For more than a few minutes, right? The moment your laptop falls to sleep, it's in a bad state, and you have to set it all up again. It doesn't recover. But it's been 15 years of that bug. I'm starting to think they're not going to fix it.
At this point, it's a feature.
It's a feature. I think it is, actually, right?
The graph just looks amazing with the parent share too.
Oh yeah,
like it's really using all of these connections.
It really is. I wonder why.
It's true too.
Yeah. Bill loss. All right. So there you are. So our stream, we're sometimes using 17 megabits here. Sometimes more like 11. We see all the internet connections we're using, and the paired devices. These are the paired shared devices. Ooh, look at that. Low memory. Time to close some browser tabs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably Safari or Chrome.
Yeah. That's the when in doubt. But yeah, and then you see below here the 2 live streams, right? We're live streaming to Twitch and YouTube, and Speedify recognizes them automatically and prioritizes them, right? You can see it's saving us from latency loss. Seems like Comcast isn't exactly kicking ass today.
Yeah, the upload on that Ethernet is so low.
All right, yeah. So anyway, back to that. Anybody on a Mac, it is time to go get the new version of the app from the App Store. Not from the App Store, from our website. Speedify.com, go to download. The version from the App Store is almost the same, but doesn't have the CLI, right? You know, so a lot of those advanced options that you guys have been asking for in the Mac, they're there now.
And they can take advantage of our deals that we say on the show now, right? The coupon deals you can just get right from the new Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is correct. More coupons.
Yeah.
Big fans of coupons here. We've discovered that you guys seem to love coupons.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I think I do. I got, I reached the final page of a shopping site ready to buy something. I'm totally happy with my purchase. And then I see the coupon box and I'm like, am I being a sucker? And I'll open a new tab and go off and search for coupons. And
funny thing, with AI Operator, you can just tell it to go search your coupons and let it come back. Let it go.
So question, Mike, how much are you using AI? You're a Speedify developer. How much AI is going into the development of Speedify?
The development of Speedify, minimal, but my daily workflows as far as outlining or asking questions for feedback or just research, I use it daily. And I subscribe to the $200 a month OpenAI plan now because I wanted to test out the latest and greatest. I figured I might as well test it for a month, and you pay for what you get. I mean, the level of disparity between the free, or even the $20 models and the $200 models is incomparable. So, if you want to get some research done, absolutely. And they give you access to Sora, which is, you can create videos, which is still not that great. I still don't love the image qualities of DALL-E and Sora, but you can try them out. And Operator, which is brand new, which lets this AI model open a browser in the browser and search for you. And it's fantastic, actually. It's just it's in its infancy and you can see it, but what it's going to be able to do is going to be incredible. And they haven't released any developer APIs, but once they do, you're going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of new websites pop up with tools to help you automate booking restaurants. And what I see it as, like, you want the new Nike shoes and you don't want to wait in line for 4 hours, your operator can just go ahead and put the queue in and wait for you and alert you when it's ready to go.
Great, more bots. That's what the internet needs.
That's what it basically is happening now. AI bots are, man, they're just taking over.
Man, oh man. So I mean, all the language translations in Speedify,
that's right.
We use OpenAI, ChatGPT 4. We have it translate, and pretty good. Every once in a while, somebody comes back and tells us this translation's terrible, and we say, okay, what should it say? Whatever they tell us, that's what it is from then on, right? So we have the ability to manually override it if someone says it's wrong. But to be honest, not a lot of people are telling us it's wrong. The stuff is a lot better than it was. All right. Sade says, I have a Starlink connection and try to configure a second connection coming in over our Ethernet. I do not get a stable connection for Zoom calls. How can I troubleshoot that? So there are, just out of curiosity, there are a couple graphs across the top here showing the usage. That's the main one that comes up by default, but the latency, you can see sometimes if a connection has really bad latency, we'll try to avoid using it. Loss. So a couple questions. One, is it showing up with latency and loss on some of your internet connections? Also, the streams, is your Zoom call being recognized as a stream? If it's recognized as a stream, this is assuming you're still in the default bonding mode of Speed Plus. Oops, clicked the wrong thing. You should be in bonding mode of Speed Plus, I would think. Speed with enhanced streaming. And that should figure out that your Zoom call is really important and prioritize it and use lots of both to save it.
What is your second connection to? Is it a bad DSL line?
Yeah, what is that Ethernet?
Yeah.
It could be if you have loss on both, if it's something unreliable, you could be better off with a bonding mode of redundant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that right now because it's not what I need.
We keep switching to redundant too. So
yeah. So when you're in that Speed Plus mode, it should recognize the Zoom call is most important, and it should do whatever it takes to protect it, including doing things like realizing, oh, redundant mode would actually be working better here, and it'll temporarily, just for the Zoom call, switch to redundant mode, which in fact is what my Speedify just did.
Yep.
So, interesting. All right. Then Juan asks, if you bond two internet connections, does the total speed increase? Example, 100 plus 100 equals 200. What we're shooting for is 90%. 100 plus 100, 180. We do better than that if the connections are really identical. If they really have the same latency and stuff, we will get above that. If they're really different, you start running into physics things. If one has a bunch of jitter and the other one has loss, you can end out in situations where, in fact, 100 plus 100 might be 120, 130, 150. I don't know. Definitely gets variable when the connections are all over the place. So, does Speedify use load balancing? Technically today, no. Speedify uses bonding. And so the difference is, with bonding, we choose packet by packet which internet connection your data should go over. So a single upload or download can be spread across multiple connections. Load balancing implies that each socket, each conversation is assigned to an internet connection, right? So when you visit a web page, it may decide, hey, I'm going to download the image on your Wi-Fi, but the text on the cellular. But once it makes that decision, the text all comes on the cellular, the images all come on the Wi-Fi, right? That's load balancing. So the more users and the more apps and stuff you're running, the more load balancing looks good because it's efficient and easy, and you don't have to think about every single packet. The conversations you spread out. It's great for BitTorrent. BitTorrent, when you go to download one file, I've seen it open 50 connections for one file. Going across the 50 connections and packet by packet, trying to spread them out, doesn't make sense. You might as well just say, well, put 20 of them on the Wi-Fi and put 30 of them on the cellular or whatever, and leave them there because it's doing its own. So we have some experimental stuff to start doing a little bit more hybrid, being able to say, like, load balance this stuff, but bond that stuff. Because where load balancing, of course, is terrible, is this scenario, the live stream. This is one stream to YouTube, right? And YouTube gets angry if it switches to a different internet. It decides it's over, it breaks the stream, and it gives you a new URL to watch at. Like, it doesn't just like pause the stream until you reconnect, like Twitch or Facebook does. YouTube gives you a new URL every time you switch internet connections. I don't know why. I consider it a bug, but apparently they don't, or they're okay with it. So you need rock solid if you're live streaming to YouTube. Interesting, you don't need rock solid if you're watching YouTube. Because when you're watching YouTube, well, at least watching recorded videos, I'm not talking live. When you're watching recorded videos on YouTube, it'll download 2 minutes worth of stuff and then stop downloading. So you can continue on a different internet connection and probably not even notice because it buffers so much stuff. But once you're live, YouTube is very, very brittle. And you need a technology like Speedify doing channel bonding to keep you alive even if weird stuff happens. Because YouTube Live does not handle weird stuff. If what's going on here? Oh, that was weird. All right. If DeepSeek is so good, why pay for OpenAI?
Because you do pay for what you get. I mean, DeepSeek has a bunch of different level and customization options. Unless you're using the chat on their website, which is still not great. I mean, you're going to get denied left and right. But if you do download it on your computer, you have the option of downloading minimal version to the max version of DeepSeek. And unless you got gigantic processors, you're not going to be able to use the high-end DeepSeek AI model. But what OpenAI does, they give you a larger token set, so you have better, more polished text input output. DeepSeek is great at some things, but OpenAI is more of a polished, larger
I think the
model.
growing feeling is that OpenAI is that DeepSeek is not quite as good as we all thought last week when it came out. It seemed great at first, and it crushed those benchmarks. Well, but the more people are using, it did nearly as well as O1 did on the benchmarks. Just to be clear, right? It was just behind it. But I think more and more people using it are kind of like it's good, but it's not as good as O1. No. And of course, O1, now there's OpenAI is already making adjustments based on this.
Yes.
So I think a really interesting thing is how leads in this space are not that easy to sustain.
Which is great for us.
For us, yes.
We don't want a winner yet.
Yeah. We don't want a monopoly in AI. So it's good that OpenAI is going to have real trouble maintaining their position. Good morning, guys. Sometimes while live streaming, my paired iPhones disconnect from my iPhone's hotspot. Any ideas on how to stop this? Oh, that's a good question.
Is this over parent share? How are they paired?
So you're using parent share over the hotspot? Like I'm guessing. So one iPhone is making a hotspot, and the other iPhones are joining it, and they're not staying on. Is that what's going on, Roy? How can you stop it? I mean, there's a few things like make sure that auto connect is on for the hotspot of that phone. And if there are other internets around, you probably want to turn them to not auto connect so that it doesn't just decide to drift off and try your company network. Why do you think that would happen?
I'm assuming that you see this without Speedify too. At times when I'm using my using parent share to connect to my streaming phone, which is hotspot turned on, I see issues when I use just my hotspot with like my Switch and my iPad, where the Switch will refuse to connect until the iPad has no internet going through it. Sometimes I think it's an Apple thing, but I'm not sure why I would particularly do this with or without Speedify now.
Can you send logs?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the quitting hotspot sounds. Not sure if anything will be in our logs. But if you could send logs to support@speedify.com, we'd like to look into this and beat up on it a little bit.
The UI will have some interesting logs around hotspots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. John says I used the bypass via the command line interface on Mac yesterday to get to a site hosted by Cloudflare, and Cloudflare was being secure. Thrilled to have the feature. Yeah, that works well.
John, I couldn't wait to do this stream hoping that you downloaded the new Mac version. I was hoping you joined us, so thank you.
Juan says, I have a Starlink mounted to my semi, and when I fuel, the roof blocks the signal. I notice video calls continue, but my fuel payments apps don't work till I turn off Wi-Fi. Is this supposed to happen? No. Fuel payments apps. So are they getting annoyed? Do they need to be bypassed or something?
I'm a little confused. When I fuel, the roof blocks the signal.
So, quick answer, no. No, that's not supposed to happen. We're trying
Why?
to
We
figure out
don't
what's
know, though.
happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you can send us some more information at support@speedify.com, like what your payment app is and things, and how you have things set up. Video calls continue. I don't know offhand one. Yeah, so we've got a Between Two Palms on our YouTube. You know, YouTube, look for Speedify if you're not there already. About the DeepSeek AI. I think it's sort of interesting. Kind of blowing up, getting us some numbers.
Yeah.
That's fun. What else is going on? You use the AI a lot. I don't know. I'm starting to feel like an old guy. I don't know. I use it and I'm like,
yeah.
It's all right.
No, yeah, no,
and
don't
then I
act like
drift
that.
off. I'm not getting addicted to this stuff. It all seems so like
it's being integrated into everything from your IDEs to you know every app and website you're going to be using in the near future. And it's one of those things where you got to hop on board and let it be used with you instead of taking over you. And you know where our kids will be in 15 years, I don't know. But right now with the automation and how good it's getting, like our job should be becoming a lot easier.
Yeah, I was super unconcerned, to be honest. I thought the LLMs were, I mean, a neat trick, a neat party trick, but they just didn't seem good enough. And I found myself very unconcerned about them and all the topic of AGI. But this chain of thought stuff now.
Yeah. The reasoning models are cool.
Okay. Reasoning models, like I feel like this year in 2025, we have seen serious improvement in the models, which I didn't really expect. I felt like we had hit another plateau, and it appears like no, the chain of thought stuff.
What's great is it helps you learn though. Like, so if you ask it a question, you see the stream of thought, you're going to see, oh, well, I tried to do this and I brought this, and you could kind of work the prompts, which is your most important tool, to re-ask it a question if you know it's wrong. You can't rely 100% on what it's telling you either. You know what I mean? Like you can tell if the sky's red, it's going to come back. You're right. I'm sorry that is true. And, you know, it's getting there, but some of the things like the robotic automation, I think bartenders in the future might just be AI robots and things like that. But you could have a conversation with these high-end models like O3 and O1 Pro, and halfway through the conversation, they're going to be like, well, where was I? What? You're going to be like, our whole conversation meant nothing, and it's still not there.
Right. The chain of thought stuff is interesting because it's not a whole new level or anything.
No.
They just trained the LLMs. They rewarded it for talking through how it's going to solve the problem. And they discovered that if it talks it through, saying, well, first I should do this, and then I should do this, and I should make sure I look at this, at the end, it's so much more likely to give the right answer.
Agreed.
Just talking it through. And so, yeah, OpenAI was trying to hide that conversation, right? It was having it do that conversation, but it would hide it from you. So it just seemed to take much longer to get an answer and then give you a more accurate answer. But the DeepSeek just let you see it, talked it through.
I do think like a lot of, I forget what the test is called. You probably know that where you try to get, is it a human being on the other end or is it an AI?
The Turing test.
But I feel like that's like an adult version. I feel like if you compared it against a 4-year-old child, you might not know the difference. And with a 4-year-old child, you have to tell it exactly what to do. Go upstairs, do this. Same with the AI. And if the toddler talks through the problem they're trying to solve, they're more likely to stay focused and do it.
So the interesting thing about the original Turing test, which Alan Turing did, the test is an AI pretending to be a woman.
Okay.
and a man pretending to be a woman, both by text. And can you tell the difference between them? Right? Neither like it was both. He was forcing both the AI and the human being to pretend
to be something
that they weren't. And then can you tell the difference between them?
Well, that's interesting.
That was his original suggestion.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
And somebody asked him about whether he was trying to create some super intelligence. He said, "I'm not trying to create a super intelligence. I'm trying to create a mediocre intelligence."
Yeah.
Like the CEO of AT&T. That's all I'm aiming
what
for.
What a great answer. All right. Achievable. Probably, yeah.
That's his example of a mediocre intelligence that he thought he could build an AI to match.
Did you see the papers on the AI creating these new microchips?
No.
So apparently it was peer-reviewed and people signed off, but it was so sophisticated that these scientists couldn't really understand, but they verified that it's probable could work. So I don't know, fate. I always think this is kind of fate.
So this is now 15 years ago.
Yeah.
In antenna design, there was fractal antennas. And these people came up with these mathematical models that built these unbelievably complex patterns of wire. And the more complex it was, the better it did. And there was all this stuff about fractals and how it's revolutionizing antennas. And then someone finally figured out all it was just jamming longer and longer wires into the antenna. And what the pattern was irrelevant. It was just using longer and longer wires. I think
that applies right now.
And you could just make the wire go just back and forth in a straight line. You got the exact same result as a fractal antenna. It was just skinnier, longer wire, and it made it longer and longer. That was all it was. It was funny because the whole fractal antenna design was a whole thing for a while, and then they realized it was just a very long wire.
Well, good for that person to figure it out. That's a lot of heartache.
Destroyed a whole industry. I'm sure there were. I know there were startups that had raised tens of millions of dollars to do fractal antennas. And so
wake up one day like, sorry guys, nope.
Yeah. Oh, skinny wire antennas doesn't have the same ring. LLMs are coming for your Q&A jobs. Doesn't need a question answer. Probably. True fractal antenna would be infinitely long. Yes! And that was the point, was they were just making it longer and longer, getting closer and closer to a fractal, but it was just that was long. The fractal mathematical equations and stuff weren't important. It was just that they were making wires that were closer and closer to infinitely long. And it was great. So, all right. Some notes about CES, but I think we've talked about that. CES, that was back in January. No one cares anymore.
I feel like it was supposed to be such a big deal. There's so much news lately. It just went sweep right under the rug.
Yeah.
Who cares about your 8K TV upgrades when we got DeepSeek and OpenAI battling it out,
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm getting a little concerned. I wasn't last year. 2024, I was like, yeah, I get it. LLMs, they talk a good game, but they can't really solve any useful problems. Starting to think they can solve some problems.
I think one more level though, and I think then we're gonna get some interference with, did they get trained on copyrighted materials, rip it out, and I think there's gonna be a lot more red tape going forward, but we'll see. It might hinder progress.
The rate they're advancing, they may just win. You know what I mean?
Get an AI lawyer to battle.
By the time you get Congress to pass the law saying they're illegal, we'll have trillion-dollar companies using it, and nobody passes laws against trillion-dollar companies anymore.
No, they control the laws. But I won't get political, but yeah.
Well, and so it's interesting, right? So Europe has been passing these laws to make sure that AI is used right, and the end result is they're down to one AI startup.
That's yeah.
The companies just go somewhere else. So the regulations are
Well, and using it, people in the
irrelevant.
United States were getting charged with crimes by the way they use AI already. So
John's making a little joke here, but who needs CES when you have MWC?
yes,
Mobile World Congress, I will be there.
you can meet Alex in person.
Anyone want to meet me in person? Yeah, shoot us an email.
Yeah,
Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, March 3rd through 6th.
that sounds fun. Good food.
It will be.
You look forward to
Oh,
it?
it's fantastic. Paella and stuff.
Man, jealous.
Yeah, Barcelona, fun city. And Mobile World Congress is one of the biggest trade shows in the world. It is, a mile from end to end of these enormous halls.
Is there any significance why it's held in Barcelona?
I don't know the history. Oh, at this point, they've built the biggest convention center.
I was gonna say the smart
how
guy's
else
like,
could
let's
you
go
hold it
here.
anywhere else, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, it was getting way north of 100,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
Pre-COVID.
Okay. Hopefully the numbers go right back up. I mean, it's been
They might be back, right?
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since I've gone. It used to be my favorite trade show. I'm going again. Neat thing about Barcelona, my last name is Gizis. Everybody in Barcelona sees my name pronounced it correctly.
Really?
They just know. Oh, good to see you again, Mr. Gizis. It's a funny thing, having your name pronounced on the first try. I guess you wouldn't know.
No.
Kane. Mike Kane.
Yeah.
But for me, it turns out to be a surprisingly big deal to my subconscious to have my name said right the first time.
Good.
And yes, there was a minister of finance in Germany named Gizis, so it's been in the news. All the Europeans know how to say it now, so that's cool. All right, we're at 10:40, and it feels like we're running out of questions. I'm clicking on random things, and random things are happening. All right, cool. I think that I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to let you let me go. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everybody who asked questions. It's good to hang out with you guys every Wednesday. We'll be back, same time next week. And yeah, hopefully see some of you at Barcelona. Bye.